Welcome, everyone, to San Diego Sports Talk, the John Kentera Show, and very happy to have you with us. And boy, we got a lot to uncover on this Padres sweep against the Washington Nationals. Unbelievable baseball played by the Padres, not only in the series against the Nationals, but prior to that, they took 3 out of 4 from the first place National League Central Milwaukee Brewers. So Padres are playing some great baseball right now. Even though they're down some ball players, they finished the homestand 6-1. They moved to season high. They've been there before, but it didn't last long. A season high, 3 games over 500. They moved their mark to 44-41, and very critical because they've got to go on the road. They've got a very interesting, to say the least, road trip coming up. 6 games on the road, 3 in Boston at historic Fenway Park, and then they stop by down in Texas to take on Bruce Bochy's world champions of a year ago, the Texas Rangers. But I want to thank everyone, first of all, as we get started today. I want to thank everyone. You know, we haven't even done this for 2 months yet. And we're closing in right now on 1,000 subscribers. And it's incredible. But I can tell you, it obviously has made an impression with some people, because I've had people that I didn't even know listened to my podcast, or prior to that, my radio show. And we've had great success with this. And today we're going to also drop in a couple of other San Diego sports stories. But if you're out there, tune in. You haven't subscribed, we would certainly appreciate it if you would subscribe. And we'll always try to bring you the very, very best content out there. We're not going to sugarcoat things. I think if you've listened to me over the years on radio, I'm very honest. I'm not going to try to lie to my listeners. And it was the way I coached. I never lied to my ball players. I'm going to be completely honest, truthful, and give you it just the way it is. So we got a lot to unpack from this series against the Washington Nationals. But again, if you haven't subscribed, please do. We'd certainly appreciate that. And we'll continue rolling on our John Kentera Show podcast. All right, let's talk about the exciting sweep the Padres had over the Washington Nationals. I mean, some really good pitching overall. Adam Mazur Tuesday night, he got through 5 innings, gave up 4 runs, had 1 strikeout, I think he had. Didn't walk anybody. That was a plus. Matt Waldron pitched well the other night. Didn't get a decision, but had the big big home run by Cronenworth that night. He got the job done. Cronenworth having a really nice year. But the bottom line, Dylan Cease on Wednesday afternoon went out there and dealt 1 hit in 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, walked a couple, no runs, did an awesome job. I mean, he pitched well. We got so many guys that played well in this series and some timely hits. And we're going to get to everything on Tuesday night here in a minute. But let's talk about Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease had been scuffling. I mean, he had really been scuffling. But he went out on Wednesday afternoon and was flat out dealing. And, he had the 4-seam fastball working. He had the slider working. And that's the Dylan Cease that we saw early in the year. That's the Dylan Cease the Chicago White Sox saw all of the 2022 season. And then last year, he was there everywhere. He was all over the roadmap last year. And now he got dialed in. Some pitching mechanics they worked on, keeping that front side closed, working better direction to home plate. Obviously, the work he put in with pitching coach Ruben Niebla is starting to pay off. I mean, that was vintage Dylan Cease on Wednesday afternoon. Now, I want to talk about Kyle Higashioka. And when Kyle came over from the Yankees, I was probably the only guy kind of happy about it because nobody knew anything about him. But he's a kid from Huntington Beach. He's a guy that, when he got traded, believe it or not, this is an interesting question. When he got traded from the Yankees to the Padres, he was the longest tenured player in the entire Yankee organization. He'd played his entire career with the Yankee organization and worked his way to the big leagues in the last 3 years prior to coming to San Diego. Hit 10 home runs each year. Very consistent. Backup catcher. When's the last time the Padres had a backup catcher that could hit 10 home runs? Well, he's got 8 after 2 he hit on Wednesday. But he's doing a great job behind the plate. Done a great job catching Matt Waldron, who had another great start on Monday night. I mean, really pitching really well right now, and catching really well is Higashioka. And now he's starting to run into a few. Had 3 hits on Wednesday, 3 for 4, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 5-11 in the series. 5 for 11 was fantastic. Drove in a total of 8 runs in the Washington series, and doing a great job. And I think we all like backup catchers. They don't get to play all that often, and we always pull for him. He finally got his average over 200 to 207 with a hit in the grand slam in the 8th inning on Wednesday. But he's doing a great job, and a good team guy, and 8 home runs. And he's going to get the bulk of the work while Luis Camposano's out. They brought up Brett Sullivan, but he's not getting any catching time right now. And the Padres have an off day on Thursday before they open that series Friday night in Boston. I would imagine Sullivan's going to get some work in that series. And then the Padres have another off day on Tuesday, and then play or on Monday, and then Tuesday they play in Texas. So Higashioka is going to get quite a bit of work, no question about it. But Brett Sullivan's up, and they said initially, but again, you take that with a grain of salt, and thumb injuries can be a little tricky. Camposano, they said, wouldn't be out more than the 10 days he was on the IL. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Tuesday night. Well, we can talk a lot of it, quite frankly. I want to go back to Monday night. I would probably say that Profar, I know he was jumping around for the crowd, but he was jumping around right in front of the dugout of the Washington Nationals. They didn't take kindly to it. And if you know anything about the Washington Nationals, Mike Rizzo, their president of baseball operations, general manager as well, Davey Martinez, the manager, hard-nosed, old-school guy, they didn't take kindly to that. And so, at the end of the first inning, top of the first inning, when Jesse Winker made an out, Profar came in, and Winker kind of waited there, and he had something to say Tuesday night to Profar. And then Keibert Ruiz, the catcher who came up in the Dodger organization, got right in Profar's grill when he came to the plate before the first pitch to Profar. And then Manny came in, and that's when it escalated. I mean, Ruiz was face-to-face, pulled his mask up, was talking to Profar, put his hand on his left shoulder, and then was patting his chest a little bit, and then Manny interceded, and that's when the bench was emptied, and then the two managers went back and forth with one another. Then you had warnings given by Brian Walsh, the home plate umpire. Adam Hamari, the third base umpire, was the crew chief. And Brian Walsh gave warnings to each dugout and to Mackenzie Gore, the starting pitcher for Washington, the Padres' former #1 draft pick. And so after order was restored and they get ready to go, Profar steps in, and Mackenzie Gore, still a young major league pitcher, tried to overthrow a fastball at 98 miles an hour and hit Profar in the back foot. I mean, that's a bad look. There's no question about that. I think it was unintentional. Now, even Mike Schultz said after the game he thought it was unintentional, and they didn't throw Gore out of the game. Even though you get a warning, that doesn't mean you automatically get tossed. It's to the umpire's discretion whether or not he thought there was intent to hit the batter. And I think people have been around baseball for 5 minutes realize that he wasn't trying to hit Profar. He was trying to throw a hard fastball down and in, and he pulled it way down and in and hit his back foot. Mackenzie Gore isn't that good to be able to throw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and hit the back foot of any batter, let alone Jorks and Profar. But Mike Schultz, he came out, and I had no problem with Schultz coming out. Now, he got ejected very quickly. He didn't even get to the chalk line on the first base side, and he got tossed out of the ball game by the crew chief, Adam Hamari. And there's two things. Number one, Schultz knew, and when you're in the dugout and you just had benches empty, even though there were no punches thrown, man, your blood's racing, okay? Your blood is racing. You're waiting for the next incident to jump out there. I totally get that. I've been involved in beanball wars before at the college level and high levels of baseball, and I will tell you, they're not fun. They're not fun at all because people can get hurt. And you know how people get hurt? They get spiked or they get in the bottom of the pile. I mean, I've been involved in a few not so cool things. And so Schultz gets ejected. But I think what Schultz was doing, a couple of things. Number one, he was trying to show that he was protecting his players, which I totally get, 100%. But I also, if I'm Mike Schild, I want Mackenzie Gore ejected, so they've got to go to a bullpen game and deplete that bullpen for Wednesday's game, even though it really didn't matter. But you're always looking to gain an advantage. And Mike Schild came out protecting his players, number one, and he wanted Gore to get tossed, even though he knew in his heart that the kid wasn't throwing it profar. If you're going to throw at a guy, you throw at his front hip, and the guy tries to get out of the way, and a lot of times it ends up hitting him in the middle of the back or, right above the waistline. That's when you're never going to throw at a guy's head. In the old days, they used to throw at guys' heads, but you throw at the hip or you try to hit the guy in the thigh, somewhere around there. You don't try to hit a guy in the back foot, okay? You can try all you want. More times than not, you're going to miss. So I think Brian Walsh was actually right. I don't think there was intent. But then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. Schild gets tossed. He doesn't even get back to the clubhouse. He's going up the steps, and Manny first pitch drills one and hits it out of the ballpark a country mile. And the Padres end up winning the game. Profar in the sixth inning hits a grand slam, and they win the game. And then they come back on Wednesday and pound the Nationals. I mean, they were up 8-0. Cosgroves came in, and he can't, for some reason, Tom can't get anybody out this year. And they had to result to bringing in Adrian Morejon. And that's unfortunate because I don't know how long Cosgrove's going to be here. You got to figure he probably could be not even making this road trip after today's performance. He's had a rough go of it. But that's where we're at with the Padres right now. They're playing great baseball. Let's talk about the injuries. I've got some good news, but I want to share the news right now on Fernando. And originally, everybody, including the Padres medical staff, thought it was a quad strain. And sometimes, things, continue to get worse before they get better. And, the actual injury now, and I want to make sure I got this right because it's very technical stuff here. Fernando Tatis Jr. Has a right femoral stress. Okay, right femoral stress of the right quad, basically. And I don't know when he's coming back. Right now, they're hoping he can come back after the All-Star break. But then there was talk, and I know I read Kevin Acey's article today in the Union Tribune, and he talked to a doctor, and apparently this injury, rest is the only thing that's going to solve it. Rest and rehab. This injury can take anywhere from 6 to 14 weeks. Well, 14 weeks, where are we going to be at the season? We're going to be at the end of the year. Now, he went on, technically, the disabled list on, it was retroactive to June 22nd. So, I mean, count out 6 weeks. We're talking right now, probably, definitely after the All-Star break, but probably somewhere around August 1st. And then if you count, another 8 weeks, we're talking playoff time. So it's going to be very interesting. That's the bad news. The good news, Joe Musgrove, that right inflammation in his elbow, threw a little bit on Monday, threw in the outfield prior to the game on Wednesday, doing a bunch of different little drills, but he was throwing the baseball, which is good. And they'll just keep working on that. I'm sure Joe will be on the road trip working. I don't think, he's far away right now from throwing a bullpen, let alone go out on a rehab assignment and be able to come back on the Major League mound anytime soon. It's going to be a long, arduous workout for Joe to get him back up. The other guy that's maybe getting close, I'm not sure how close, and I don't think there's a timetable right now, Xander Bogaerts with that left shoulder fracture. He's been throwing. He'd been fielded a little bit. He'd been taking some swings just off the tee with his right hand. And today, Wednesday, he started swinging in the cage. And one of the things they've been talking to him about is the same thing they talked to Fernando about when he came back from shoulder surgery. Don't let go with that top hand to where it's putting more pressure on your left shoulder. And Xander, when he took batting practice on Wednesday, was swinging with two hands. And I think that will get him from a hitting standpoint. I think that will be better for him. I think it'll give him a little bit more power, and he'll get away from casting a lot of those balls off the plate, down and away, sliders, fastballs down and away. A lot of times guys, they don't go get it with their body and their hands. They just kind of reach for it and they cast. I think this might clean his mechanics up at the plate a little bit as well. Camposano, from what I understand, is making good progress right now. We'll see where that goes. The other kind of troublesome news that came down on Wednesday is setup man Jeremiah Estrada. He's been a little shaky lately, but there's a reason for that. About 2 weeks ago, he came down with flu-like symptoms, and he said he's feeling better, but he's having a hard time holding down, regular food. He's having to eat a very bland diet right now, a lot of rice apparently, and he's lost a total of 15 pounds. I mean, big, strong guy. Losing 15 pounds when you're out there working every day, that's not good. That's not good. So hopefully he feels a little bit better going on this road trip and can get, a little bit better balanced diet and just feel better and put a little bit of that weight back on. Man, he's pitching great and he's still throwing good, but he has showed a couple of hiccups here and there recently. So that's the update right now on the injury front. Let's talk a little bit about the road trip. The road trip, not going to be easy. Boston's playing pretty good baseball right now. And they got some guys that can hit. Rafael Devers, their third baseman. Jaron Duran doing a good job, and especially at Fenway Park. I mean, there's no doubt the Red Sox, they have an advantage when they play at Fenway Park. Those guys, they see that monster day in and day out, and they just go up there and take their natural swing. A lot of guys that haven't played there a whole lot, they get there and they start salivating that they're going to be able to hit that ball off or over the wall, and they start trying to lift in their swing rather than just going in there hitting line drives and let Mother Nature take its course. So it'll be an interesting series. But Boston, Alex Cora got them playing very, very well. Hey, a little side note, one of the assistant hitting coaches for the Boston Red Sox is a young man that played at San Diego State many years ago. Ben Rosenthal doing a good job as one of the assistant hitting coaches for the Boston Red Sox. Okay, let's take a look at the pitching matchups for that series. And I will tell you, the Padres have announced theirs. Boston, to this point, has only announced one of theirs so far. It'll be a Friday night, Fenway Park, 4:10. Now, this game will be on Apple TV. I got news for you. I don't buy streaming. But I do have Apple TV streaming just so I can get that Friday night baseball game. And this week, it's the San Diego Padres against the Boston Red Sox. So I have Apple streaming. I haven't taken advantage of watching any movies yet. I probably should, but that way, when I watch Apple TV on Friday, normally if the Padres aren't on, I can watch one of our other teams from Southern California or whatever game's on. I'll have the Padre game on and I'll watch, the Giants or the Dodgers or the Angels or the Diamondbacks, or maybe catch an early game from the East Coast, Yankees or Mets, something like that. So Friday nights are always a double dip night. But this week, Apple TV, Padres, Red Sox. That game on Friday is going to get underway at 4:10. It'll be right-hander Randy Vasquez, who's pitching really well right now, going against right-hander Nick Pivetta. Pivetta 4-4 and a 4.06 ERA, and Randy Vasquez right now 2-4 with a 5.10 ERA. Saturday afternoon, Fenway Park, 1:10. You got right-hander Michael King. Boston has not announced a starter yet. And Sunday morning at Fenway Park, 10:35, right-hander Matt Waldron, who's pitching just absolutely lights out right now. And he's going against a player to be named later, TBA. No announcement yet from Boston who's going to pitch on either Saturday or Sunday. So you've got Friday night, Randy Vasquez, Saturday, Michael King, Sunday, Matt Waldron. And we'll see how it goes. Okay, let's talk about a couple of additional San Diego sports stories here. One of them, and this is something that we're going to do, especially as we wean our way out of the baseball season, hopefully after the playoffs. We're going to talk about, San Diego State. We'll talk about the Gulls and the Sockers and the Wave and San Diego FC and everything. USD, Point Loma Nazarene. We'll talk about whatever. If it's a sports story in San Diego, we're going to talk about it. But I want to talk about the surprise move by the San Diego Wave. They fired their head coach, Casey Stoney. And what's interesting about this, I know the Wave have struggled this year. I mean, they've definitely struggled. They're ninth place right now with a record of 3-5-6, a total of 15 points. I mean, they're way, way off And a year ago, they had the best record in the NWSL. And they gave Casey Stoney a contract extension in January through 2027, and they blow her out. The reason they blew her out, no offense. They've scored a total right now of 12 goals in 14 matches. That's not going to get it done. And Jill Ellis, the president of the team, came out the following day after Coach Stoney was let go and said they want a more attacking style. Did you know that San Diego Wave, they've been pretty successful, and they've hit the ground running here and saying, you know, they're going through an ownership change right now? The original owner is getting out, and they're bringing in a new owner. So there could be even more changes with the San Diego Wave. But Casey Stoney's out, and for the time being, their assistant coach, Paul Buckle, going to serve as the interim head coach until a new coach is hired. So we'll see where that goes. But Jill Ellis, the Wave FC president, and Camille Ashton, the general manager, they got their work cut out for them. Been a tough year for the San Diego Wave. But I will tell you, if you haven't gone out to see them, it's a lot of fun going out to Snapdragon Stadium. I'm looking forward to Aztec football. If you haven't been to Snapdragon Stadium, folks, you may want to make an appearance out there. I get the biggest kick of going there. It's a really neat stadium. I really like going there. It's been a lot of fun. And, of course, I'm looking forward to Coach Lewis's first year on the hill with the Aztecs. I really don't know what to expect from the Aztecs this year, but I am looking forward to it. All right, the San Diego Wave looking for a new head coach. And then kind of a personal note for me. Back in 2017, I had been out of radio by my own volition. I had to quit at the mighty 1090. Then I was still finishing up my 6 years as president president of operations of the San Diego Sockers and general manager. And after that season, I felt I was very happy with what I'd accomplished with the Sockers. We'd gone to the playoffs 6 years in a row. We'd won 5 division titles, 3 league championships. I got 3 beautiful rings from my tenure there. We had a record of 108 and 22. We set an all-time professional sports winning streak in the United States, 48 straight wins at the major or minor league level. No franchise has ever done that. And to this day, that is going to be you're going to have to play in. You're going to be awful tough league to be able to pull that one off. I'll tell you, we had some really good players, and 48 in a row. It was amazing. And the game we got beat in Dallas, we got beat in overtime by 1 goal. I mean, it was an unbelievable run by a group of really, really good, talented, and energetic athletes. And my time with the Sockers was great, but I was offered a job by John Boggs, a legendary agent in San Diego. And even before I got the job, I was out watching a young man at UCSD. He pitched at Westview High School. He was pitching on a Saturday afternoon at UCSD in the annual North-South game. And I had heard about this kid, but I didn't really know much about him. It's in between his junior and senior year. So it was the summer of 2016. A kid by the name of Michael Mercado. And right at that time, as I'm getting ready to watch him pitch, I get a phone call from Wynton Bernard. And most of you know the story of Wynton Bernard and I. He's now in AAA with the Chicago White Sox and hitting 299 right now. He's got a 13-game hitting streak. But that's nonetheless. Wynton called me when I was at UCSD, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm at UCSD watching this kid from Westview." He goes, "Oh, I've seen him pitch." But the reason Wynton was calling me, he got released that morning by the Detroit Tigers. So I told him, you get on the plane, get home, we'll go work out on Monday, and we'll figure out what your next move's going to be. How are we going to get you re-signed? So anyways, Wynton comes home, and him and I go out to Westview High School. And I see a guy by the name of Pat Edwards, good pitching coach. If you got kids out there want to learn how to pitch, get a hold of Pat Edwards at Westview. He does a hell of a job. And I said to Pat, I go, "I saw your guy Mercado pitch on Saturday." And I go, John Boggs would probably love that guy. He goes, "Well, one of Boggs' guys talked to him." And I go, "Well, that gentleman's no longer with Boggs." And I go, "I think Boggs would like that guy." Well, make a long story short, we recruited Michael, great family, by the way. And he got taken in the second round by the Tampa Bay Rays in the 2017 draft. He played for Beauchamp out there at Westview High School. Bo's a great player in his right there at Mira Mesa, and been a good baseball guy here in San Diego. And Michael was coached very well in high school. Bo Champeau, Pat Edwards, they did a marvelous job with him. No question about it. And so anyways, he gets drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays 2017. He goes through Tommy John surgery, then COVID hit, and his career got waylaid, like a lot of minor league careers got waylaid. And then it didn't help that a lot of minor league teams went away. It took away at bats, it took away innings for pitchers to pitch. But Michael finally became a minor league free agent, and the Philadelphia Phillies signed him last winter. He went to AAA this year and just pitched out of his mind, absolutely out of his mind. And the other night he got called up. He got called up on Sunday, actually, and sat in the bullpen, didn't perform. But that worked out good. That way his mom and dad and sister and friends and family were able to get to Detroit to see if he'd make his major league debut. Well, Monday night, and I tuned in, 8th inning. They got a nice lead. Michael Mercado replaces Aaron Nola in the 8th inning, comes in. A perfect 1-2-3 inning, struck out the first batter he faced, looked great out on the mound, 97-mile-an-hour fastball, good 12-6 breaking ball, and got through his first big league inning. So congratulations to Michael Mercado from Westview High School. Good guy. And I spent a lot of time with him in bullpen sessions, and Coach Edwards did a heck of a job with him, and we've been following him and stayed in touch with him all along the way. And, he's never big league you. I sent him a text when I heard he got called up. He responded before the game on Monday night. I sent him a text after the game on Monday night, and he got back to me, I think, before he even went out and visited with his family. He's that kind of guy. He was supposed to go to Stanford, but got a nice contract from Tampa Bay as a second rounder and decided to get his professional baseball career going. Even though it was a long, tough, hard journey, he's in the baseball encyclopedia now, and hopefully he'll get many, many more opportunities at the big league level. So I'm really happy for Michael. Okay. Again, I want to remind everyone, we're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, and I'm very novice, and a lot of you folks out there have told me right from day one when my radio show went away in December, and I had Lisa the other day ask me, why aren't you on the radio? Well, I said the other day, a good question, but nonetheless, I'm not on the radio, but I'm enjoying my life. And a lot of you folks that are watching this are the ones that really encouraged me to do this. I probably wouldn't have done it. I'd have probably rode off into the sunset and, been on TV occasionally, do UCSD basketball on ESPN Plus and do the Strike Force games on YouTube. But this has been fun. I've had a good time with it. I think a lot of you folks have enjoyed having me back talking Padre baseball, talking San Diego sports. And, maybe I'll get another opportunity on the radio. I really don't know. I'm not really seeking that right now. If my phone rings, I'll certainly answer questions. But I got to tell you, I'm really excited about this. I don't know where it's going to go. I know eventually I want to get to the point where we're doing some live shows where we can have a little bit more interaction, immediate interaction. But we're closing in on 1,000 subscribers. If you have tuned in and you haven't subscribed, I would certainly appreciate that. So we'll rejoin you. We'll have another podcast up on Sunday night, and you'll be able to dial that one up. Hopefully the Padres can keep this thing rolling. Let's have a good road trip. They've been scuffling on the road recently, but they're playing good baseball right now and get a little good starting pitch, and hopefully that bullpen can hold up, and who knows where the season can go. You're not going to win the division. We know that. You're not going to come back and beat the Dodgers unless the Dodgers, they had a bunch of injuries and guys just didn't perform. I don't see that happening. But again, you just got to get in the tournament. In a 2 out of 3, a 3 out of, you never know where it can go. I mean, you never know where it can go, but you got to get into the tournament. There's a lot of teams right now. The Padres would be in. If we were playing the playoffs right now, the Padres would be in. But there's a lot of baseball to be played. But thanks again for tuning in to San Diego Sports Talk, the Coach John Kentera Show. And again, please subscribe if you haven't, and enjoy the podcast. And we'll talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.